Thank you, Andrew, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for the invitation to join you today. I've got a couple of roles today. The first is to set up a bit of a mindset for us for the rest of the session today. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to help navigate through some of the questions you might have about the product, about the Qoin experience. And as the day unfolds, we're hoping that you'll get a little bit closer to understand what this can do for your business, in particular in these changing times. Well, and it's certainly no news to anybody that this is an unusual time for us. I've lived through 5 now major economic corrections over the last 30 years I've had in business. And I've had 13 different companies over that time. So I've learned a number of ways to try and navigate your way through this so you give yourself the best opportunity for success. What I wanted to share with you for the next 20 minutes was a few things that we've learned over the last 30 years in business and the things that we've focused on as we've had to navigate an economic shift. Now, this one's a little bit different. It's brought on by health, and that's then caused a bit of an economic shakeup in the marketplace. But the rules are pretty much the same. What we've learned through 4 serious corrections, now our 5th correction that we've been in business for, is that we've got to be really focused on some simple things. We've got to learn from the past. We've got to apply it to the present to protect our future. And the 4 simple things we've learned we have to focus on have been the key to us navigating our way through and coming out the other side, not just surviving, but with a much stronger business. Let me roll through 4 of these things for you just to open your mind this morning and get you started. First and foremost, the first rule we have to navigate a time like this is to understand that the trend is your friend. The trend is your friend. What's changing in your sector, in your industry, in your world, and how can you get ahead of that trend? Because if we can do that, that puts us in a much better competitive position. Now, what I mean by that is you've got to start looking for data. Look from the left, look from the right, look down the middle, find different data from different sources and try and understand or predict what's likely to happen in your sector, in your industry, and in your business. Because if we can do that, then we set ourselves up for an open mind, a mind that's there to give us an opportunity to think about new things and create new things in our business, and in fact, even create the trend in our business and potentially the trend in our sector and our industry. So in a given day, I go through about 2 hours of learning. It sounds like a lot. In the middle of the chaos, it sounds crazy to be able to stop for 2 hours and start reading articles or looking at things in the industry or doing things that you think you might gather information to get you one step ahead of it. But if you don't take that time right now, you're going to find yourself sitting around and wondering how you're going to get out of this, what's going to happen next. So we take a real focus every day to listen to things, to read things, to watch videos, to gather data from different news sources around the world, and to try and pick that trend, because the trend is your friend. And part of that process is to understand what your consumers are going through right now and anticipate their needs, not just exceed their needs, anticipate their needs and try and give it to them well before they even think they need it. So what service, what product, what thing can you come up with in your business that anticipates their need and delivers on that anticipation well before your consumer even thinks they need it? That's how we pick a trend. Second key thing to focus on is consumer confidence. Right now, we have 3 different sorts of consumers. We've got consumers that want to come out. I'm okay. Let me out of lockdown. I'm coming out. I'm going to go and spend. I'm going to go back to my normal life. I'm ready to go. Then we've got that consumer that is still a little bit nervous. I might just wait a little while before I venture out. I'm just going to sit back here and watch what happens. I'm just a little bit nervous that there might still be a risk, so I'm just going to sit back and wait. And then we've got the guys who will probably never leave their home for the rest of their lives. All 3 of these consumers need to be considered as we reposition our business for what is business as unusual, because all 3 consumers are going to have different attitudes. So as we go through the process of trying to pick a trend and anticipate their needs well before they even think they need it, what can we do to give them the confidence that we're here to serve, to give them the confidence that we're here to serve safely, that we have a social responsibility and we're exercising that, and more importantly, giving them the social responsibility positioning, but without fueling fear, because it's our job to bring our business back to some sort of normality with confidence. Because remember, it's not just your consumers you're also trying to give confidence to. It's also your staff. It's your community. And each and every one of these groups is going to react to how you act. They're going to look to you as a business leader, as a business owner, so that they feel that you've got the confidence to move forward, and then they will follow. Point 3 And this one's a little more challenging. How are you going to reinvent the strategy for your business? So we have a couple of business interests. One in particular is a name you might be familiar with in Australia. The company's called Poolworks. I am the current global chairman of the board of that business. We have 160 retail pool stores around Australia, America, and in New Zealand. And we have about 600 mobile units in the field. Now, in that particular business, we've been fortunate that in Australia and the USA, we have been deemed an essential service. In New Zealand, we had to close the doors for a few days. But among this whole chaos, what we've done as a leadership team is to sit down and try and work out what our strategy should look like coming out of this, because it's not going to be the same as what it was going in. So every week, our senior leadership team spends time together and we go over the strategy that we'd created before March and work out what it should look like coming out of lockdown. And every single element of that strategy needs to fight its way back into the document. So what was normal 3 or 4 months ago is certainly not going to be normal moving forward. We need to come up with new ways to approach consumers, new ways to approach the business, new services, new products, new approaches to our staff, to our clients, and to our franchise partners in our franchise community. So every week, our senior leadership team sits down and we have a general discussion about what is going to make its way back into that strategy and what just simply isn't going to make the cut moving forward. Now, the challenge there is you've got to go into each and every one of those discussions with your team with an open mind, because everything needs to be reconsidered. Not just your budgets, not just your cash flows or your financial forecasts. Every single element of your business needs to have a purpose moving forward. And the purpose needs to make sense to your consumer, and it needs to make sense to your staff as well, because they react to how you act. Fourth and foremost is to have some rhythm and some routine in the business, because unfortunately, with chaos comes this sense of running around like a chook without a head, trying to find a path forward. As a leader, you're got to be the first person that shows calm, that shows rhythm, and shows routine. Now, that means we've got to change our mindset even before we walk into the business on a daily basis, before we talk to a staff member, before we talk to a consumer, before we talk to pretty much anybody. So every single day, I wake up and I start my day by going through a little process of trying to work out what I can achieve today. And in my world, my simple routine is I create a list, not a to-do list, but a list that's got 3 different things or 3 different elements to it. Things I can change today and will have done by 5 or 6 o'clock this evening. Things I have changed and need to set aside. And then things I simply can't change. I just cannot influence that. It's got something that's way out of my world, out of my influence. And so I just set it aside and stop thinking about it. Because see, the easiest thing as a leader or a business owner right now is to get stuck with the things you can't change, and that paralyzes you. That doesn't give you the opportunity to create routine, to create rhythm, to create what's next. And as part of that process, I want you to focus on 4 simple words as you build that routine in your business. I want you to focus on clarity. Clarity of vision, clarity of where the money comes from, clarity of what you believe to be next. What's around the corner? How can you try and predict that trend and then set about creating a vision around that trend so that each every person in your organization has the clarity of what's going to happen next? With that clarity, then you get a chance to create unity. If they can see it, they can sell it. If they can see it, they can believe it. So everybody now has the clarity of where we're going as a business, and they're now focused on that clarity. And now they can get unified behind that clarity, because that's what we need right now. We all need to have every single one of our team members, every single one of our vendors or our supply chain, all sitting behind that vision in a unified fashion so we can drive the vision into the future. The third word is consistency. What can we do every day to make sure that we're creating consumer confidence, that we are moving towards that trend, that we are, in fact, edging the business out of what we've just been through over the last few months and into a new phase in life? Now, I've got a friend who gave me some very great advice some years ago. His name is Don Wilson. It's a person you wouldn't know. Don was the first chairman of McDonald's in Australia. And in fact, he brought McDonald's to Australia from America. He is was the global operations manager for McDonald's, the dean of Hamburger University, and the guy that came up with, would you like fries with that? And one day I was having lunch with Don, because he's a wonderful gentleman and he's very, very intelligent. And I said, Dom, give me one gem. Give me one thing that I can focus on in my business moving forward. And he said, Troy, the consistency of your people is more important than the consistency of your product or service. I said, what are you talking about? He said, no, you think about it. If I've got an inconsistent 15-year-old making burgers, I have an inconsistent burger. It's not the burger's fault. It's our job as business owners and leaders to breed that consistency. That means that we've got to show up every single day. Doesn't matter how stressed we are. Doesn't matter how much sleep we haven't had or the things that have kept us awake over the last 3 months every single night. We've got to be the most consistent anchor in our business. So are you turning up every day and being present and being consistent? Because you can't ask your people to be consistent if you aren't. So the simplicity of that is, what's your routine every day? What rhythm can you get into your day? So you set about building on that routine and others will follow. I can remember a moment back in 1997 during the Asian financial crisis. We had an advertising agency at the time, and in the space of a week, we lost $1 million in bad debts. All of our clients were backed by Asian banks, and those Asian banks fell over. So too did our clients fall over. And in the space of 5 working days, that business was $1 million in the hole. Now, there's no consistency that comes with that sort of a chaos in your business. But my job as a leader was to walk into that business every single day and calmly sit down with our people and say, I've got an idea. I think we should take this path. Why don't we try this? And show them that I'm consistently showing up and being present. So then I could ask them to be consistent behind me. And then we could show the confidence and consistency to our clients. So they knew that we were going to be around for the next 10, 20 years, and we were. And in fact, by just instilling some of those simple things, we not only dug ourselves out of $1 million hole, but we made the business 30% more profitable in the following year. And we built a business that had a much stronger client base. Now that means we've got to then focus on the fourth word, and that is delivery. How are you going to deliver this strategy when you've created it? What are the things that you're going to focus on to make sure that you actually are edging the business forward? So let me give you the example of our advertising agency in our $1 million hole. We had to go and re-engineer the entire strategy of the business because the business was now in a shape where it wasn't going to suit the future. So our consistency, our delivery was to take a look at what we did in that business every hour, every day, every week, every quarter, and every year. What did we have to change up? Where would we find new products and services? Where would we find new revenue streams, which is part of the reason we're here today? And back in 1997, one of the great revenue streams we found was barter card. And in fact, barter card went on to become 20% of our ongoing revenue in that business because we went out and looked for new and interesting ways to deliver on our business plan, on our strategy. And then we started to roll those habits and behaviors into what we did every hour, every day, every week, every month, every quarter, and start to build on some of that lateral thought process, how we were going to re-engineer our revenue streams, re-engineer our business model, re-engineer the way the business was taken to market. So we changed some of the ways we did things with our clients, where before we would do a job, invoice it and get paid, we turned the business into a subscription model. So we were getting paid before we did the work that gave us the cash flow to dig our way out of $1 million hole. And that's what I'd like you to think about today. How can you be more lateral with the approach to your business today? How can you look at it and pretty much just take it apart and rebuild it over the next couple of months? Because that's what we need to do moving forward. The way we interact with consumers will change. The way we interact with the community will change. Heck, the way we interact with our family has changed because we've been locked up with them for the last 3 months. So what can we do as leaders to consciously think about new ways to do business? That means that everything you're about to hear in the next couple of hours needs to be looked at with a lateral view, with a view that it's not different for you in your business, in your sector, in your city. Because you know, it really isn't. We've worked with, I had 13 different companies that I've owned, and I've consulted to 300 different companies around the world over the last 30 years. And I can guarantee you that each and every one of those businesses has the same things to deal with every single day of the week. They just think it's different for them. And because they think it's different for them, they're oftentimes not open to new ideas, to new ways of doing business, to new ways of thinking about stuff. And that's what we need to do for the next couple of hours. because I can guarantee you we've got a bunch of really smart guys and girls to hear from over the next couple of hours that will open up your mind. But one of the things I'd like you to do is to have the conscious thought that it's not different for you in your business, that your consumers are the same as everybody else. They want the same things from you. They want service, they want quality, they want a relationship, they want it to be easy. And with that thought process, with that mindset, be open to everything you're about to hear. Because that's the shift I had to make in 1997 if we were going to get ourselves out of $1 million hole. I had to look at new ways, listen to new people, learn from wherever I could, and then find a way to reinvent not just the business, but also my leadership style. That's a little bit harder than it sounds, but it's where we've got to start. Because what I learned back in 97 was by taking these simple 4 steps, by taking these focuses, by following the trend or finding the trend, by instilling confidence in my consumer, my team, and the community, by having everything fight its way back into the strategy, and by creating some rhythm and routine in the business, we got out of a fairly significant problem in our business and worked our way over the next couple of years to make the business more sustainable, to make it stronger, and more importantly, to make it smarter. And as a result from that, we came into the 2001 tech wreck and bought into technology after the tech wreck because we were on it. And then with the GFC in 2007, 2008, I actually moved from Brisbane to America to take advantage of that opportunity, knowing that there was going to be fabulous opportunities in every obstacle that America was experiencing at the time. And it served us very well over the last 10 years or so. So as you sit and listen to people today, have an open mind, look differently at your business, and while you're here today, start rewriting that strategy, start rethinking the new norm, start rethinking business as unusual, and start trying to work out how you can apply some of the great things you're going to learn today to your business tomorrow. Because that's what we have to do. We have to take action right now to make these changes. We can't sit around and wait, because our competitors will crush us in the rush and will be paralyzed by our own fear of the future, as opposed to learning from the past, applying it to the present to protect that future. It's going to be a really good session today. I'm going to join you for the rest of the session today and help you navigate some of the questions you might have about what the guys are talking about, and have you maybe rethink about how you can apply some of these great ideas or great concepts to your business to help you come out of this next couple of months with a real step, a real stride in your step to take your business into the future with confidence and with vision and focus.